Good morning, guys. Another great day in recovery. Just a quick update on my withdrawals. Pretty much over. I'm just achieving the equilibrium in my head from, depression to happiness. I feel quite good this morning. It's Sunday. I'm hoping it's going to be a good day. Minor cramps, a bit of diarrhea still, but nothing I can't handle. Today I wanted to talk about loperamide. Now, loperamide is becoming more and more obvious. There's not much information out there, and I think I should have brought it to the forefront as harm reduction. So loperamide is often a medication that people in withdrawal take to stave off the withdrawal symptoms. And you look it up on YouTube, and in high doses it will completely get rid of withdrawal. Higher doses will actually get you quite high. As I described before, it feels like you had a shot of heroin an hour ago, and that lasts for a good 24 hours. So it's originally Imodium gastrostop, used to decrease the frequency of diarrhea. There's metabolic structure. So in Australia, you have to ask for it over the counter. It's quite expensive, like a lot of drugs are in Australia. $5 to $9 for a pack of 22 milligram loperamide packets. And people have said, to stave off withdrawals, anywhere from 6 to 20 tablets. People trying with hectic habits up to 20, or one of my friends said 2 packets would make him, he was a massive heroin addict, 2 packets would make him stable. And for me, 2 packets would make me comfortable. So 40 pills, 80 milligrams. And then if I was feeling it, I'd take another one or push it all the way up to 160 milligrams, which at that time becomes quite a strain on the heart. So Canada, over the counter, UK general sales list, US over the counter. So you don't have to ask. In America, you can go in, buy Imodium, buy whatever brand it is, 400 pills, 100 pills for $4 or something. And so if I was in America, I'd probably have heart failure by now. It binds to your proteins quite rapidly, 97%. Bioavailability, 0.3%. Half-life. Half-life of a drug is when half the drug is out of your system. That has nothing to do with the duration of the effects, but a lot to do with the withdrawal symptoms. 9 to 14 hours. So again, it's not like methadone. Methadone is 32 hours, Suboxone around that same time, so it's still a long-acting opiate, and but it is doable. It's not as scary as methadone withdrawal. I've been going through both, so but I did stop methadone for a bit before, and then I replaced it with loperamide, which probably continued the effects of the methadone. Comes out 1% in urine, which causes the urinary retention, which a lot of opiates have in common. Feces, 30 to 40%. So common side effects: constipation, sleepiness, which is the euphoric effect of an opiate. Some people like that. If you were naive to this, it would probably make you quite abdominally cramped. I started at a low dose and increased it, so my body gradually got used to it. It is an opioid with no significant absorption from the gut and does not cross the blood-brain barrier when used at normal doses. And that's what I'm saying. At higher doses, it's knocking at the blood-brain barrier door, all that loperamide, and it's going to get through. And people use protein inhibitors, grape juice, which is one for all opiates, so that it can get through that door, and once it does, it's like, I would describe loperamide as the bush version of weed compared to hydroponic weed. So on the list of the World Health Organization's most used medicines, it takes massive strain on the heart, colon. These high doses. Before I came into rehab, I had irregular heartbeat, so it does take a toll over time. There are deaths, if you look up on Google, there are deaths from this drug. it interacts quite well with other opioids, so people use it on top of opioids just to get the other effect, which I did. Loperamide is an opioid receptor agonist and acts on the U-opioid receptors in the enteric plexus of the large intestine. So it binds to those gut receptors. Loperamide works like morphine. There you go. It works like morphine. Decreasing the activity of the enteric plexus, which decreases the tone of the longitudinal and circular smooth muscles of the intestinal wall. This increases the time material stays in the intestine, allowing more water to be absorbed from the fecal matter. Loperamide also decreases colonic mass movements and suppresses the gastrocolic reflex. Now, loperamide is quite strong. I've had people try it who have a bit of experience with. I never like turning people into opioids because it's a killer, but he tried it and he said, "This is strong, mate. This is like morphine." Loperamide circulation in the bloodstream is limited in two ways. The P-glycoprotein, so you can take that with pepper. Some people do it. I found it worked perfectly on its own. Blood-brain barrier, here we go. So the blood-brain barrier is a massive part of how this drug works on a recreational or abuse level. P-glycoprotein also prevents circulating loperamide from effectively crossing the blood-brain barrier. So it can generally only antagonize muscle-centric receptors in the peripheral nervous system, which gives it the high. Administration of P-glycoprotein inhibitors such as quinidine potentially allows loperamide to cross the blood-brain barrier and produce central morphine-like effects. Loperamide with quinidine was found to produce respiratory depression indicative of a central opioid action. Loperamide has been shown to cause a mild physical dependence during preclinical studies, specifically in mice. Rats and rhesus monkeys. Symptoms of mild opiate withdrawal were observed. This is real, people. Following abrupt discontinuation of long-term treatment of animals with loperamide. It has been transferred to Schedule V in 77 and then decontrolled. So they saw the problem and then they thought it wasn't. History, not quite interesting, just how it was synthesized. Just, it is an amazing drug when used in third world countries because of the poor hygiene and all that sort of thing. And, as every drug, it has a therapeutic effect, maybe, on some level. Even MDMA, like for marriage counseling. Methamphetamine, just to pick up your speed. It's the abuse potential of every drug that is the problem. Society and culture. Cost. Sold as a generic medication. In the USA, it's 0.040 a dose, as I was saying, very cheap. And then it went down to 0.31. It went up to 0.31. Biggest selling brand, $32.7 million in Britain in 2016. Recreational use, here we go. Loperamide has typically been deemed to have a relatively low risk of misuse. And that's with people probably without opioid addictions. 2012, no reports for loperamide abuse were made. In 2015, however, case reports of extremely high dose loperamide resulting in opioid misuse were published, dubbing it the poor man's methadone. Clinicians were warned that increased restrictions on the availability of prescription opioids passed in response to the opioid epidemic were prompting recreational users to turn to loperamide as an over-the-counter treatment for withdrawal symptoms. The FDA responded to these warnings by calling on drug manufacturers to voluntarily limit the availability of loperamide for public safety reasons, so how much they stock in the pharmacy. In an analogous manner to restrictions put on the sales of pseudoephedrine to be sold only in limited amounts. That hasn't happened in Australia yet. Like, they sometimes ask you questions, why are you buying so much? I just say I'm going overseas. I just bullshit him. When I was using it. Since 2015, several reports of sometimes fatal cardiotoxicity, as I said, to heart, due to high-dose loperamide abuse have been published. And you look on Google, people have died from this shit. And if you are planning to taper from an opioid onto loperamide, I suggest a very short taper. If you can avoid it, avoid it. If you're on heroin, just deal with it. If you're on methadone, it might work loperamide, because heroin's just quick. Just don't take anything to prolong. Any long-acting opiate on heroin will just make it longer. So yeah, if you're gonna take it, watch those doses. I was lucky. I'm still quite young, so I wouldn't. Some people take up to 300 megs, and the most I took was probably around my worst 240. But I suggest a safe limit would, if you are, like, this is harm reduction. If you are using it, try to stick to 80 milligrams, and then try and taper down off that. Or just go cold turkey. 80 milligrams is where it's comfortable, and it's comfortable every day. Your body, it doesn't get used to it like opioids. So yeah, my experience with loperamide, what happened was I went to rehab for morphine addiction, heroin addiction. Came out of the rehab, went to a halfway house. That tick started going in my head again, guys. And I was researching drugs that don't show up on urine tests. And loperamide showed up. And I took it. I took 6 tablets. I felt amazing. They gradually increased, and I was on that stuff since 2013. Mixing it with other opioids, methamphetamine, alcohol, and some of those highs were some of the best highs of my life. And I know it's harm reduction, but I'm just being honest with you guys. It is a very powerful opiate in high doses. There's no placebo effect, and everybody's body works differently. But I guess I wanted this video to be a bit of a harm reduction for loperamide. So if you are, in summary, loperamide binds to the gut receptors, high doses, crosses the blood-brain barrier, produces opioid euphoric-like effects. It affects the withdrawal lasts anywhere from 9 to 14 days. Someone online called Mad Margaret, I hope I can use her name, she describes it quite dramatically, and I appreciate what she was saying, and her body might work differently, but she was describing the adrenaline she felt. So one of the, you don't get many flu symptoms with the loperamide withdrawal. You yawn and you get all that sort of stuff, but it's annoying. But mainly diarrhea, which is obvious because it's an anti-diarrhea agent, insomnia, which is common, but adrenaline is one of the worst things. Your body is firing neurons right through your nervous system, and that is unique to any other opiate I've ever had. It sometimes lasts a while, sometimes it doesn't. But when you first stop, she described it lasting 9 days, and I haven't experienced that before. Each detox has been different, so especially if you're mixing other drugs with it, because they contribute to the detox. But yeah, that adrenaline, get some Valium, because that adrenaline can drive you insane. It's that classic opioid withdrawal symptom where life's a chore. You don't want to do anything, you don't want to get up, but just know that will pass. So I hope this video has been helpful, because there's not much information out there on loperamide, and yeah, I hope this has been informative for you guys. And I'd just like to say that my resource was Wikipedia, which most of the time is quite correct, and I agree with everything they said on there. Mad Margaret, obviously, which you can find her blog on Google. But just be aware of the powerful nature of loperamide and the addictive nature of loperamide, especially with people who suffer from opioid addictions, because if you try and taper off, then you might get addicted to Imodium or loperamide. It is an opiate, people, and in those, and I don't want to encourage anyone to take a high dose. And if you've got a substance abuse issue, don't take a high dose, and because you might get addicted. If I don't want that to happen to you, because it is hell, people. It's hell. God bless.